Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Okay, welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Wednesday edition. I guess it's me and you tonight, Jimmy.
Well, you and I and all our friends out there too, like Karen. Thank you, Karen.
Jill Sheridan.
Jill,
hey there, how are you? We doing all right, Jill. I tell you, Jim, were you glued by the TV and the verdict? Was this an OJ moment where the jury says 3 not guilty and 2 whatever for Puff Daddy? What's your take on that?
I probably have an interesting take considering I spent a lot of time in law enforcement. I really have no idea about the government's case. I wasn't watching it really closely, but the exploitation of people by the rich has always gone on. It has been something that's been done in this country, whether it's prostitution, whether it's pushing people around. This is capitalism, I think, and I think people are missing it. I'm not sure why they prosecuted them. I'm going to sit here and say domestic violence I've seen so many cases of domestic violence, and people belong in jail if they beat up a woman or a man or domestic situation. I'm not at all excusing domestic violence, but how we got to all this, all these other charges, these life sentence charges, I'm perplexed by that.
I don't even like the guy, but I didn't think the guy deserved to be locked away forever. And then they didn't give him no bail. I saw murderers here got bail. This reminds me of, and she's running for attorney general, the prosecutor at Oakland County, the Crumleys. You would think that they overthrew the government the way they prosecute their parents. Now, the son is never getting out of prison unless somebody pardon him or commute his sentence, and I don't see that in another 20, 30, 40 years. And how long are you going to keep the mama and the daddy in jail?
That's a great question. Back to the trial. What do you mean he's a threat to the public? Because he beat his girlfriend? Let me tell you, it's typically a felony case that turns into a misdemeanor in about a weekend. So, and then typically in domestic violence cases, the person that was abused walks away from the charges or downplays the charges. This looks like a money grab to me. Maybe there's more information that I missed, but I'm not a fan. I don't know much about his music. I know that he was involved in a shooting years ago with some people in New York. I think, wasn't he accused of?
Yeah, and he was an arrogant asshole. But the bottom line is that, man, they went after him like you would think that the folks that tried to overthrow the government and January the 6th, all of them walking out, people got bail, and they making sure, and the judge got his 15 minutes of fame. Oh, you can't get out because you got people saying that. What is he gonna do? He been locked up in the worst jail, one of the worst jails in America, for 9 months. He's gonna come out and plot and get revenge or whatever the fuck he's gonna do. I don't think so.
Well, he fancies himself a gangster. He's more like
He
the
ain't
Fresh
a
Prince.
gangster. He's a fucking bully. He beat up women and shit. We got those that's playing in the NFL right now that done beat up women, that's been bullied, and that they can run a football or play baseball or do whatever they do, play basketball or okay. We're gonna forgive you for that. I'm sorry, and all this other bullshit. So
a couple of comments like Kwame, too arrogant on purpose, says like Kwame, Karen, Winston, too arrogant, too black, too rich, too arrogant, too rich. Good evening, family. Our friend Derek Henry. Joe Cool, good evening. Hi, Joe. Of course, Jill, our friend, Henry's friend. I have to see Henry tomorrow, but that's another story for another time.
So and they said Rico, we're all the other conspirators that was with him. When you do Rico, you got 5, 6, 7 people plotting to do whatever you need to do. He never tried to hide nothing. He did all this shit out in the open.
He's not. Yeah, he's not. He's an entertainer. It's been going on in the entertainment business. People want to hang out. There's movies about it, right? Groupies hanging out, and they get abused, they get used, men and women. It's not just women. It's people that want to be next to power and money, and they take advantage of it, and they're being manipulated. So.
And it's like these parents gave Michael Jackson their kids,
right?
And then they get upset. Michael Jackson write a check, and then they want to say, "Oh, he used me, abused me," and the people said, no, you got paid. Now, what's the problem?
Being a sexual deviant is not a crime, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, what government went after this young man? What government decided that this was a conspiracy? The United States government. I'm a little confused by it. I'm not saying he didn't do it. I don't know what he did and what he didn't do. But why did they pick this man instead of the thousands of other people that are doing the exact same thing?
Yeah, Vanessa Moss, who's not here. You should have been here. You're saying good evening, Vanessa. Good evening. We miss you.
We always miss Vanessa and Alan.
An ambulance showed up last week and took away a player information about it. Has been okay. Well,
talking about, I guess, Wayne State University. It's ridiculous that those young people should be out there in that kind of temperatures if they're playing football. What about high school? What about college? What about pros? They have the resources to work out indoors.
I'm going to tell you, Jim. I played football. I played run track and all this. And I played at a time where football, a day practices in the summertime, they wouldn't want to give you any water. They give you a taste. And I'm surprised nobody died.
And Fee just fed us salt tablets, right? Remember that?
Right.
Salt tablets?
Yeah. So it's just too fucking hot. And Wayne State is a football. I'm gonna tell you, the coach of Wayne State. Who's the coach of Wayne State football?
I can't tell you.
Tyrone Wheatley.
Is he really?
Yeah, and
he's running back in Michigan.
He's my cousin. So
I did not know that.
I'm not gonna be knocking you, Tyrone.
Yeah, you can't do that. I always liked he was a great running back.
He was a hell of a running back and stuff. He fell out with Jim Harbaugh, so Yeah.
Two players weekly on purpose says two players die weekly in America from athletics outdoors. That's tragic. I thought they were getting better when a couple of those young kids, those linemen, passed, running in circles, and they didn't give them water, and a couple of them died in the last couple of years, or 2 or 3 years ago. I haven't heard anything recent. Maybe something.
Well, and that happens in boot camp. the Marines, the Army, whatever, and you get some zealot that want to prove that they some tough shit, and I haven't seen it.
So about 3 or 4 days ago, I drove right by Paris Island. Were you there? Have you ever been there?
No, I was in San Diego.
You took your training in San Diego?
Yeah, not Paris Island.
But I thought about you because that's South Carolina.
South Carolina, But so you as a law enforcement expert, what do you think he's gonna get? 10 years?
Well, I wouldn't call me an expert, but they're asking for 4.5 years. And I think he's already been locked up
since 9 months, 10 months.
I think he'll get time served and he'll probably be out by Christmas and be done with it, would be my expectation. But who knows? The judge is keeping him locked up because he thinks he's a threat to society. If every man that slapped a woman or dragged a woman down the hall or across the back porch because something bad happened was a threat to society, there wouldn't be any men out there. I mean,
well, Vanessa said if you're talking about the Diddy case, problem was that the complaining witnesses had credibility issues. The jury did not buy that they were victims. No, they was all part of the shit.
They volunteered to be victims,
right? And they come and they want some money now.
And I won't say they're not victims. I think they probably got in too far and they didn't realize. Like a lot of relationships.
Well, we had a mayoral candidate on our show, John Barlow. And John Barlow just been on a video went viral. 3 million people saw John Barlow running after some women in Detroit with his phone, etc. And they say he was harassing them, trying to talk to them. And they were laughing and they was running from them. And then when they get on Channel 7 and these other media stations, they don't want their face shown. Fuck, they already been shown 3 million times.
I'm not buying it.
All over Facebook, all over TikTok. Now all of a sudden, you give us some fucking privacy, like I guess they found out that John Barlow was running for mayor. He's not gonna win, so they got their 15 minutes, and I didn't think it was a story past what they put online, and guess what? Here come the mainstream media. And yeah, we got him. Yeah.
I think Mr. Barlow may be a bit naive, and I think he might have got himself in a little mess. And
he got himself in a little mess, a big mess. But
it could have been a setup. Who knows? But I don't think Jonathan Barlow was that big a threat that someone was going to set. But you never know. Maybe they're trying to pick him off one at a time, and that screaming was so fake, and it seemed like it was,
they was laughing. But I think that what they're gonna do to Puff Daddy, are they gonna do the OJ shit on him?
Charge him somewhere else.
They couldn't get OJ for murder, but Las Vegas got him for stealing his own stuff back that he owned. Gave him 9 years. What are they gonna do that to Puff Daddy? They're gonna, say, hey, we didn't get you, so we giving you the max, even though is that appropriate?
Well, G Money says it's BS. He should be walking away and released immediately with conditions. He's being held based on his color and nothing else. I don't know why he's being held, G Money Hollywood, but it sure seems like somebody in the federal government has it out for Mr. Combs. I'm not a fan. I don't know much about him. Maybe because he's young and he has resources and women and men and people are jealous. I don't get it. I don't get I'm confused by the federal government's case, why they decided it's like a needle in a haystack. I picked out Sean Combs and we're going to do this. There's so many other people that are very, to me, similarly situated in this world.
Okay, we're going to take a break and come back and continue our conversation. Me and Jim Nardone tonight.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Well, we're back.
Can I just touch on one little thing? I was watching an old video the last couple of days and it was David Bowie. I'm not a David Bowie fan, but they were getting together after Freddie Mercury from Queen died and they had some big concert or whatever. But in the beginning, he kind of gives a little speech and he talks about the other British bands like the Rolling Stones and whoever else, Led Zeppelin. And he said, we competed against each other. We went through the same place to play our music and we slept with the same people. That's what he said. So the point is, they were doing it 40 or 50 years ago, the same things that Sean Combs is doing today. Why all of a sudden it's a crime? I'm perplexed. Vanessa says that they weren't volunteers, but what often happens, from my perspective, Vanessa, is people get in too deep, right? They like hanging out and drinking champagne and doing what they need to do, and before you know it, they're having sex with, the butler. I don't know. And then the threats come. Well, you had sex with my butler and I've got it on videotape. And if you don't have sex with, the pool boy, I'm going to release the videotapes. And it gets worse and worse.
Well, they have had cases where you had 6 people and the person had sex with 4 and didn't want to have sex with 2 others. Then they got a case. If somebody say no, they say no.
That's an interesting take on Purpose, is talking about, his businesses outside of the music industry. Who knows? Somebody was angry at Mr. Combs and somebody felt that, it was a conspiracy that all this was going on. Obviously the jury didn't buy it. Nobody bought it except the federal government. That it was
is his career dead?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think this will hurt him at all. I really don't. Because he has 10,000 bottles of baby oil at his house. Who gives a shit? I mean, more power to him. If that's how he wants to live his life and he's not hurting anybody, it's not my business. I don't care. A lot of it was about they forced his girlfriend to have sex with, prostitutes. And this is nothing, this is nothing new. There you go. G Money Hollywood. You can go on and on and on. There's way more people than that, talk about the Steven Tylers and the Ted Nugents and the Elvis Presleys, and the list go on, right?
Elvis Presley went and bought him a woman that was 13 years old and took her back home.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yes.
Married a girl that was his cousin that was, 13, 14, 12 years old, whatever.
But they treated him different than they treated Elvis.
Correct.
And they did the same shit. But one got, I guess because it was his cousin.
Well, the friend of, speaking of cousins, I'm sure you've been mourning the loss of Jimmy Swaggart.
I have sinned.
The cousin of Jerry Lee Lewis and Mickey Gilley from Gilley's in Texas, I guess.
I have sinned. Forgive me. I'm looking at that shit, all that shit. What's his name? Jim Baker and Tammy Faye. They was doing all kind of crazy shit. But these people, they do what they do. And, and now when the people die and they say, well, Marlon Brando, he had sex with everybody, men, women, horses, dogs, whatever,
And he was fat.
Do you believe that shit?
Money brings you all kinds of things that we can't imagine. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
People will do anything for you if they think they're gonna get money.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
You wanted to talk about all of a sudden, you got these entertainers when they giving concerts, they making political statements. And if I'm going to a concert, I don't want to talk politics. I want to hear the music. What pissed you off the last weekend?
Well, I don't know if I'm pissed off about it. Hate is in season. That's what I think. Hate is in season. I think Donald Trump is a symbol of that hate. But I don't know if he's the guy at the bottom of the food chain.
He opened the door.
You think Glastonbury over in England, they have thousands. They have this festival that all the big acts come to. We talked about Rod Stewart was there this year, and there's a band called Bob Dylan, named after Bob Dylan, but a punk band from England, and they said death to the IDF, free Palestine from the river to the sea, and the BBC said they were deeply offended. Their visas, they were planning on going on a U.S. tour, and their visas were revoked by the United States government. It's the season of hate. In Northern Virginia, 3 Jewish kids in a school for the gifted. Did you hear this story?
No.
The headmaster, his name is Kenneth Neismith, told the parents that their 11-year-old daughter needed to toughen up. The school allegedly had a photo of Adolf Hitler with the caption, "Attributes of a strong leader." The school had a Palestinian flag in the gym and pro-Palestinian propaganda in the school. But here's how it ended, which is really interesting. The letter is online. They expelled the 3 kids from the school and said, you don't have confidence in the school, so we're just going to kick your kids out of school. So there's a lawsuit pending. That was in Northern Virginia. We had a young couple, a Jewish couple, murdered in Washington, D.C. There's a firebombing.
But Jim, this is not new. This is not.
Bobby's after you tonight. Did you pay the ticket on your red Mustang?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Thanks,
yeah,
Bobby.
I never had a ticket. They took it off. But
I wanted to go ahead, Ada.
This is not new because we got hate crimes all over, where you have black folks, brown folks, Jewish, Muslims, you name it, Jehovah's Witnesses. People just get beat up, killed, incarcerated because of who they are. This is America.
But I'm going to tell you how hate impacts the little people, right? I went on a golf trip 2 weeks ago and went up to this sleepy little town, Clare, Michigan, 2.5 hours away from here.
I know where Clare at.
And if the folks out there watching and commenting do, Clare's just a little town. Went up there for 5 days of golf, and we got there on a Monday, and it was unusually quiet. It's a hotel, restaurant, bar, breakfast, little place right in this little town, and it's family owned. Good people, nice family. It's not a fancy place. They have an indoor pool and a hot tub. It's a nice place, but not fancy by any means. So ended up talking to the owner. The owner is there in the morning. He's serving you your omelets at your breakfast buffet, and he's there at 11 o'clock at night. But he said, the question was, why is it so light here? Where is everybody? And he said, the Canadians didn't come. He said, the Canadians are not here this year. They've been here every year, but they're mad at the United States, so they're not coming to our business. It's impacting us.
Yeah, well, we running people away, and we got all of folks that come from Europe is not going to Disney World and all these other places because, they got a warning, a travel alert. Watch yourself when you go to the U.S.
I just hope that the people that, the Canadians don't stay away 10 years like your red Mustang.
Well, you know what? Whoever the fuck Bobby Sanchez is, I never got a fucking ticket on a red Mustang. So get your fucking shit right. You call me a hate monger. Fuck you. So
That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
I'm a hate monger. I'll be a hate monger with you. You get when you come at somebody, have it right. Okay, let's do what we need to do.
That was what, 2016?
Yeah. I got a
2015?
ticket. Did you pay your motherfucking ticket, Bobby Sanchez?
Thanks for tuning in, Bobby. We're glad to have you on the show tonight.
Yeah, well, he won't watch it, so whatever. Okay.
So we need to, we need to get a little more. I was watching the intro that I don't usually watch, and there's some really important people in that intro, and one of them is Mary Sheffield. I like to get maybe Jonathan Barlow and Fred Durhall and Chief Craig in the intro. You have Kwame and you have what was his name, Coleman, A. Young, and there's a lot of interesting people there, but we need a few more. So what's going on in Detroit? Any word? Is
Well, we got an election. If the election has it got you motivated to go out and vote, we've been hearing about the mayor's race, but we haven't heard too much about the city council. Is that important, or is the mayor is the most important thing that we got to deal with?
Well, I think in Detroit, the mayor is, it's a weak government position, I guess, right? It's a weak. However, in Detroit, the mayor has a lot of power, and I'm not sure that the city council really matters if you have a strong mayor. I saw a name on a billboard this afternoon. I was up on Telegraph Road for the city council in Taylor, a man by the name of Martin Drouillard. Remember him?
Yeah, we had Marty on there.
He's been on the show.
Yes.
I saw his name on a billboard today for the first time. I was a little surprised.
Well, he's running for city council out of.
What do you think? I mean, what do you think about the council? Does the council matter in Detroit, or is it all about the mayor?
Fuck no, because if you have a strong mayor, council government, the mayor is talking and he controls the budget for all the departments and stuff. And that's why when I see this stuff sent out by some of our city council people who said, "Oh, I under my watch, I stopped all these murders. We got less murders from last year. I did this, I did that." That's the mayor's job. You're not the fucking mayor yet. So I don't want to hear that shit. Don't send me this shit. You keep sending a fucking piece of papers saying what you had done. What can you tell me? Can you tell me? Anybody tell me? Mary Sheffield been on the city council 12 years. What the fuck has she done to make her to be the mayor?
Well, Mary Sheffield did one important move. She made one important move that I think some of the others should come out and consider if they think they have a chance to be mayor. She has come out and said that, if I'm not mistaken, that she will stick with the current police chief, Todd Bettison, a good friend of the show, and he's just taken that position a short time ago. But I can tell you this about Mr. Bettison. He's wearing a hat a lot. I started to see a little gray hair come out from underneath that hat. So I appreciate what he's doing down there, and I think he's going to be a great chief. But man, I hope the stress doesn't get him, because it's awful difficult. And
well, the stress is well, you was a police chief. How long did you stay in that position?
I don't envy him. From deputy chief to director of police and fire, a decade. So it ages you. I can tell you that. If you have 4 police officers, or 34, or 104, or 4,000, you have to worry about every single one of them. And he's got a bundle to worry about. And I have to give him credit, because I think Chief Craig and whoever else, Mr. Kinlock, should come out and say, this is a non-issue, Mary Sheffield. Todd Bedison's going to be the police chief. And that's
G Money said Mary is hitting the pavement and campaigning in the neighborhood. She will win. She showed up and showed out at my alumni picnic this past Sunday, which is at McKenzie High School. Boots on the ground. G Money, name 5 things that that stands out in her 12 years.
But she's out there, Adolph, and she's at McKenzie High. I hope you had a great alumni picnic.
There's a whole lot of people that are out there. I just want to know what makes her. Well, I want to know G Money likes her, and that's his right. You know, I ain't mad at it. You know, I ain't mad at nobody. If you like Durhal, if you like James Craig, if you like Santel Jenkins and Reverend Kinlock, I just want to know why do you like her?
I don't think he's wrong where he's coming from. I think he's kind of got his finger on the pulse of what may be going on in the city, it seems like. So I don't think what he's saying is wrong. I kind of feel
I'm not. Listen, what everybody says is their opinion, and I'm not saying people are wrong. All I'm saying is I'd like to know.
I give her credit for hitting the streets. She had to hit the streets. I'm glad she was at the alumni picnic, and I bet it added to the event.
Wait a minute. I'm not mad at her because her team has done a hell of a job of promoting her and stuff. You get out there first, and it's like running a race. Boom. People say, don't go out too fast. But if you go out too fast and you hold in the lead, you gotta keep it, and don't get mad because people coming at you.
And Deborah G is right on. She did everything that Duggan and Gilbert wanted, and she is. I agree that she is the establishment.
Well, that was like in Forrest Gump, where the drill instructor say, "Gump, why are you here?" And Gump says, "Whatever the drill sergeant want me to do, that's why I'm here." And I guess whatever Duggan and Gilbert wanted her to do, she did it. So, okay, that's why I'm here. Okay.
She's a sharp lady. We've had her on the show. She's a sharp lady. The question is, where do we go from here? Is she the best bet? I guess is Detroit News or the Free Press, right?
The Free Press. Listen, they in another world. So I don't even give a fuck about what they do or the Detroit News and stuff. And when people ask me who's going to win, I say who's going to get the most votes and who gets their people out to vote. If we get more than 20%, 30%, I don't know if we're going to get 30%. But all I'm saying is, you gotta get folks out to vote. They gotta get out to vote.
Bobby Sanchez is asking me, he said, Todd Bedison took a knee with anti-police protesters. Would you have done that as officers were being assaulted? My answer is absolutely not. All right. There was a couple of things that I thought that James Craig did as a police chief that made me uncomfortable during those days. I probably would have handled it a little differently. I probably would have been a little more aggressive. That's my nature. If people had marched on the city that I was, it's a small city, I probably would have reacted. I'm not saying I'm right. I probably would have reacted differently.
But I wonder if people get upset over that, but they don't get upset when people storm the Capitol and injured and kill cops, etc.
Well, that's another issue that you can go deeply into and suggest that, why was it that's a failure? I've said this, it was a failure of law enforcement. The question is, why was it a failure of law enforcement? Was it the politicians? Was it the left? Was it, the Speaker of the House? Was it the president? Was it? We
It's a
don't
fucking
know.
president. And listen, if that was any other group of folks, Trump would have called in the Marines like he called in the Marines in L.A. and the National Guard and all this other shit. So, you know, it's selective prosecution, as I call it. You know, you do what you want to do. Who's in charge? They control the narrative. That's all.
Fireworks is asking if I thought that Mary Sheffield was sharp and really sharp. She's no dummy. Watch her interviews. I'm not saying she's a genius, but I don't think she's a dummy either. I really don't.
Well, who's doing the talking? Charlie McCarthy or Edgar Bergen? No, if you get that, you know what I'm talking about.
I give them all credit. I give them all credit for coming on the show, and Joel Haslam is another. You know, I didn't see any of them that couldn't lead. And when the Detroit Free Press made accusations, mostly about the former police chief, James Craig, that he was not prepared to lead, I think that was the most ridiculous thing I've read in this campaign.
Because they don't like him. That's why.
He may not be the best candidate, but to suggest he can't lead is ridiculous.
Yeah, he can lead, you know, and no question. And
we need to, and Karen is an advocate for the city of Detroit workers, as I am. And, you know, I have friends that worked at DPD and, you know, they got the short stick. Deborah, he's a great candidate too. We like Todd Perkins.
I think whoever get elected mayor should have the Todd Perkins part of their administration.
I didn't see any of them that I didn't think had a certain level of talent or intelligence or education or experience. Maybe they're not all good, but there's more than 2 or 3 that are good.
Yeah, it's better than what we usually have. There's no question.
Back to Bobby
I don't know why people get upset when people criticize or critique candidates and stuff, and like everybody got to fall in line and say everybody's great and shit. Everybody's not great. I hear the shit. People slap me and do all kind of shit all the time. You know, I can dish it out. I can take it. You know, to be the mayor of a city like Detroit, you're going to have thick skin. You can't have thin skin. You can't threaten folks because they wrote something that you didn't like. Well, you're not going to survive this shit if that's what you're going to do. We already got a president that's it. He reads everything, watch every newscast, and I'm surprised he ain't had a stroke yet, you know, because it bothers him. But the bottom line is that being the leader of whether it's a city, the state, a little town, you be the supervisor or whatever, it comes with the territory. You're going to have people that's going to criticize you. You're going to have people that praise you. You're going to have people that criticize you. You don't want just to hear everything is great, you know, and I love you're doing a great job. You want to hear the real deal.
Not everybody wants to hear the real deal.
That's the only way the city is going to prosper.
Well, you know, we had an interesting conversation. We had a great conversation yesterday, an honest conversation about some, you know, decision making. And sometimes we don't always agree with each other, but we respect each other. And that's where we need to get back to. Jill asked who has good ideas for going forward. And I think a lot of them have some good ideas, but they've all been guarded, Jill. I don't think we really got a plan from anybody. And it's interesting that they have been non-committal, and I think that Mary Sheffield, as a perceived front runner, has been measured in her campaign, and I think that everybody else has kind of followed the lead. We're not finding a lot of details out. Right back to to Bobby Sanchez for just a second. I made a little comment about Todd Bedison and Chief Craig, and I want to applaud them for the way they handled the BLM and the group. I can't think of the name of the group. Detroit Will Breathe. I may not have agreed with them, but in the end, I think they were somewhat successful. So I have to give them credit where credit is due, because I would approach it differently. Doesn't mean they're wrong or I'm right. I probably would not have taken a knee.
Because, well, taking a knee, whatever. Listen, I might have taken a knee if I was there. Because
but it worked. It was a successful step.
All Black Lives Matter did was march up and down Michigan Avenue. They didn't do shit.
I think that's true. There was no real violence.
I'm just looking at what did they do?
They didn't. They wanted a voice, and that's what this show is. We want everybody to have a voice. Unfortunately, since you left 9/10, there is no voice. These are the only options for people to have a voice, to make their voice heard, to be able to communicate, and that's lost.
Well, listen, G Money Hollywood, I'm not dismissing anybody. I've been in this shit too long and stuff. That's your candidate. That's great. And you need to support your candidate, and you need to step out. I like that. Hey, I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. But the bottom line is, I listen, there's chinks in the armor, and none of these people are perfect. And when you're the front runner, people go at you. And that's just the nature of the beast. And you can't say, oh, leave her alone. Leave her alone. She did this. I'm just asking the question. Name me 5 things that she done in 12 years. That's all I want to know. And maybe she done a whole lot of shit. I'm not one of those camp followers of city government, But you throw these questions out there, and you want to know what's happening. Are the polls correct? A lot of times the polls ain't correct. The polls ain't correct, but then a lot of times they are correct. They right on the money. So we got August 9th. It's gonna be one of those days if it's usually not a big turnout. So right now, people are turning in their absentee ballots and stuff. Whoever got the game plan going, they're going to win it.
It's very difficult. As you know, Adolph, from your experience, maybe you can touch on this for just a second. It's very difficult to run a campaign in the heat of the summer for a lot of reasons. People are on vacation. People have other things to do. They're fixing their houses or cutting their grass. They don't want to talk politics, and I don't blame them. They're trying to get their 4th of July weekend settled. They want to have a little fun. They don't want to be distracted by Fred Durhal versus Jonathan Barlow versus James Craig versus Mayor. That it's hard to run a campaign in the summertime.
Well, G Money said, I don't live in Detroit. However, I guarantee you name none of the nominees have done 5 significant things either. Okay, that's that. Listen,
he's right. It's always a risk.
You coming back. But I bet there's folks that can call up just like you and say, if I say Reverend Kinlock, I'm sure people that support Reverend Kinlock can tell me the things that Reverend Kinlock doing, or Santel Jenkins doing, or James Craig doing, or even Fred Durhal doing. So
I think we should talk about Santel Jenkins for just a minute. I didn't personally. I liked her on the show when she came on. I thought she was good, but I don't appreciate, at this point in the campaign, trying to get dirty. I think she was mistreated. I think she did her job when she was on the city council. I think she was a city council president. She did what she was supposed to do, and she left for a way better opportunity than being on the Detroit City Council. So for her to get beat up over that, I just think is just not right.
Well, and I like her, and she'd make a great mayor. I think so. And I can live with several other folks that can be mayor, but if I can't throw something out there and say why did they do this, why they didn't do that, and then people mad, you can't say that and all this shit. Fuck that.
Well, that's a great question. What are 5 things that Santel Jenkins did when she was on the council? I mean, it's been a decade.
Well, people that support her, they need to come and call.
Or what are 5 things that James Craig did as?
But I'm asking the question of that. Listen, you asking that question, and I'm sure that people will say, Deborah G says she would be better than Mary. A captain doesn't abandon a ship.
And I think that's conventional wisdom in the city. And Karen, you're not the only one that feels that way, Karen. And maybe that's right. So
I've heard of a lot of captains abandoning ships. So you're supposed to go down with the ship. Well, Detroit didn't go down.
Well, they were on the path by private money to success at that point. They were on the path to buying the paintings back, to getting new ambulance and buying police cars, and a lot of that goes to what people don't really recognize was Mike Duggan's right-hand man, who's a gentleman by the name of Ryan Friedrichs, who happens to be the husband of who?
No, I'll let you say it.
Jocelyn Benson.
Fuck Jocelyn Benson. We're going to take a break and come back and go in our last part of the show.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Okay, you brought up Jocelyn Benson. Have you been following the folks that throwing their hat for governor?
I have not, but I want to touch on LCA. He talked about promises and talked about, the same group kind of being recycled through the process. And I think that may be another issue that hurts a few of the candidates, whether it's the chief or whether it's Santel Jenkins. I think that's an interesting take, LCA 78. Thank you for your take. And G Money Hollywood says that Miss Jenkins too passive for the mayor of the city. With Detroit's population base, she might be able to get elected. I think she would be taken advantage of. What do you think about that comment, Adolph? Santel Jenkins being taken advantage of.
She's being taken advantage of.
Being taken advantage of if she's elected to the mayoral slot.
No, I don't know. She is too passive. She's not passive. G Money, you have to talk to her. She's not a passive person. She's smart. She knows city government. She knows how to run an organization. Yeah, she'd be a good mayor.
What's really interesting is you would think, and I guess our viewers can tell us, that being the CEO of the THAW, the Heat and Warmth Fund, one would think that would help her in her quest for the mayorship, but I think that's probably hurt her more than helped her at this point. And I don't understand why. Maybe somebody has a reason. It's a big paying job compared to being on the city council. But you would think that looking out for the health and welfare of Detroiters for the last decade would be in the positive side. But
the people that she unhelped and stuff usually don't go out and vote. They just trying to survive.
And she's done it quietly. She's not out there tooting her own horn.
Oh,
Right?
she's not. Ain't no question about it and stuff. But listen, I just want to. I don't dislike Mary Sheffield. I'm gonna let people know that. I just don't like some of the folks that's handling her campaign, and I think that they're gonna play a big role as she gets elected, and they're gonna overshadow her. We done saw this before. We done been down that road, and we don't need to go down that road again.
But here's the other take on that, Adolph. It's exciting to have a 37-year-old mayor. New York City is looking at a 33-year-old mayor. Whether I think he's a lunatic or not is beside the point.
I don't even think
I'm tired of the recycled people of the past, and I think that's.
We had a 30-something-year-old mayor. He fucked it up.
Yes, he did.
And we going down the same fucking road.
But he's just one person.
Well, we got somebody that's following the blueprint of the same fucking shit that we done had. And I look at what the free press and whoever else says, oh, this and that, and these fuckers don't even know. Most of them don't even live in the city. They never been in the city. They go downtown. They go to Campus Marsh. They go to concerts or whatever the fuck they do, and then they go home, get on the highway, and that's that. And you know, that's easy to do. And they tell us who's good for who. I don't want to hear it. You know, there's no question about it. Let the people speak. Let the people vote. Now,
and that's what we're doing tonight.
And now, if the people want to vote Mary, if they want to vote Santil, they want to vote James Craig, they want to vote Reverend Kenlock. Let's make it happen.
But every 37-year-old, 38-year-old person that's the mayor is not the same person.
It don't matter. Michigan had a governor that was 19. He fucked the state up.
I think it was G Money Hollywood said it. Maybe we're ready for a woman, and I think we are ready for a woman.
Maybe we are ready for a woman, and I said that we're probably ready for a woman. But is she the woman? Listen,
I'm not saying she is or she isn't. I think it's unfair to categorize her as somebody else just because she's 37 years old. Thank you, LCA.
You put yourself out there. It's not unfair.
I think LCA 78's right. We don't know what's going to happen.
And now we don't know. That's why we pushing and shoving and doing all the other shit that we pushing for our own folks. So no.
And that's why I argued as.
Go ahead.
That's why I argued as a former police officer that James Craig should be out there talking to the elderly, telling them, I protected you before, I'm going to do it again. I think that's a compelling argument. He's not doing it. He's not doing things that's behind him or that's below what he should be talking about, or it's opposite.
Yeah, Sharon McPhail probably would have been a good mayor. What's her name? Joanne Watson would have been a good mayor.
Thank you, MR, Mr. 1213. Sharon McPhail was a good lawyer. She had her issues, at one point, but I thought Sharon probably in her time would have been a pretty good mayor.
Yeah, and Dorian Denard says Santil makes the most sense. See, we got a lot of folks. Listen, this is what I like,
No argument with Dorian. Thank you for your comment.
Yeah, we got a lot of folks that like a lot of people.
She would be a safe bet, whether you like her or not. You think she can do the job or not. Santil and James Craig to me are, but a lot of people think they're recycled, right? Southwest Detroit, Bobby Sanchez supports Chief Craig, FYI. He'll protect Southwest Detroit. That's LCA 78, neighborhoods first, always. When you have 4-year-old children getting murdered in Detroit, when in Livonia you have 3-year-old twins being separated by one's death because somebody couldn't drive their car down the street without running over mom and her twins. These are tragic incidents, and people want to feel safe. Livonia fireworks, a mother takes her 2 kids to Livonia fireworks, and one of them's dead, and she and the daughter in critical condition, her son is deceased at 3 years old. People want to feel safe, and I think Chief Craig could have cornered that market, and he left it alone for some reason.
Well, you should have joined his team. Cops for Craig.
No, well.
Well, Levan, Adams for city council at large? Okay.
I like to see new names up there.
We're gonna have some city council people on to Friday. We're gonna have Janae Ayers, who was on the council and got defeated. She's coming on Friday. We're gonna have Michael Richard, who's running in the 5th district in Mary's her district. He's coming on Saturday. So we need to talk about the city council because that's important. City council is important. They make a lot of decisions. Explain how Mary Sheffield's dad got the property down on Broadway in Detroit, known as One Mic Comedy. Then explain why Mary promised her constituents that she would be returning the library back to the community residents, but gave it to her dad. I don't have to say nothing.
Yeah, well, I don't think we need to say anything. I think we talked about this yesterday off camera. We talked about the influence that Horace Sheffield would have over the city of Detroit. I don't know if it's good or bad. I am not I am not sitting here endorsing Mary Sheffield. I'm merely suggesting that she may not be as bad as that a few of the people think she is. She may be. I don't know. But it's not my job to defend her.
Somebody said John Barlow would be a great boots on the ground mayor. Yeah, he was boots on the ground. He had his boots on the ground the other night. Unfortunately, he got set up on TikTok, which
yes, he did.
We
do need to talk about council, as Karen says. Bobby Sanchez says, good show. Thanks for your participation, Bobby Sanchez. We appreciate you being here.
Nothing personal, Bobby Sanchez.
How do we schedule a sit down with you two, LCA 78? You can reach out via our website. We have an email, right? Don't we have an email?
Yeah. Well, we don't have Vanessa with us. So.
Yeah, we need Vanessa. Or you can come down a week from Saturday, not this week, the week after, whichever day that is. We will be
at McShane's.
McShane's. We'd love to see you down there.
And you get 20% off on your breakfast, and you here with Detroit in Black and White. Come on down. We'd love to talk to you. And we enjoy it. We'll be back Friday at 8:30. Hopefully we have we missing Alan Langle tonight and Vanessa Moss, even though she was Texan, should have and we hope to have Vanessa back on Friday. And Jim, it's been a pleasure, bro.
I lost you for a second there. Teresa, can we get our email up there on the board for just a second? Do you have that? I don't know what it is. So maybe Teresa can give it to LCA 78 if he wants to communicate via email, or else come see us at McShane's a week from Saturday, right?
Okay. Well,
I lost you for a minute. I guess we're done, huh?
We're done. Thank
you, Karen.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for everybody. He can message us on Facebook.
Please do, LCA.
I don't have Facebook, but you can message Jim and Teresa. Thank you very much. See you Friday.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.